art is the keeper of language and culture makes it inherently important, valuable, and sort of like absolutely valuable in our discussions around social impact and sustainability. So I'd love to have a fast chat about that. I am very pleased to have joining me on stage my friend, Grammy Award winner, star of Broadway's Straight White Men. Please welcome Ty Defoe. Hi.
Hey, Jess. How's it going? Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Fine. I'm so glad you're with us, Ty. Let's get right to the good stuff. You have an incredible story. I know there's so much we can't even cover, but if you were to sort of share with the folks watching your journey to being a person who combines your job with your purpose, would you share just a little bit of that with us?
Yeah, absolutely. I think art is a liberation tool and a tool for social change and social impact. I know y'all been discussing that today, but I truly think like mission and value are huge. I feel like it nourishes the imagination. It provides colliding and layering because one gets to world build, and also it creates sustainability, infinite possibilities. I think art is also a way forward in terms of a reckoning that's happening right now to provide social healing together. It also provides remembering and archiving. And I think it definitely pushes things as it relates to truth telling. I think in that process, and as the world we have witnessed over the course of the summer with a lot of racial injustice, that art provides a way that we can regenerate. We can provide alternative ways to connect to one another. And that is some of the most important things I think that art can provide and do. We see it in youth. If you have children, you send them to theater, folks that have participated, and as you mentioned, and no doubt there's a reason why they call it you get bit by the bug for a reason.
I love that our whole industry has crumbled to its knees. And meanwhile, we're still like telling those stories, archiving the entire world's feelings and passions. Like we never stop, right?
Yeah. Well, it's something that nourishes the soul that you just like oftentimes that is some of the hardest thing to cultivate, but that's the stuff that we want. Movie theaters in person, dance, outdoor concerts, movies. Even it took someone to combine to create the StreamYard that we're on today.
Yeah.
All of those things are considered art, and they're all interconnected and intertwined to being a whole human person.
Yeah, and it's funny. I wonder if, as I'm thinking about like, why aren't we on the UN sustainability goals and all these conversations about these great structures that have been implemented in corporations to help them define purpose and implement it and have it be capitalized in some way. I mean, I guess nourishing the soul is a tough one.
Yeah, oh, for sure. I mean, there's a reason also why for art, it provides folks to create inclusion. If you think about the shape of a circle, right? The great design of a circle, it deepens democracy and sort of, in ways that I think become really, really important because everyone's voice is so needed and so important.
Oh, absolutely. And I wondered if you would talk. I know you were sharing with me some of a couple of the projects you're working on right now that are arts projects, but are directly connected to your activism and your work. I think maybe like the Crystal Bridges. You guys all that watching probably know Crystal Bridges, the wonderful, amazing American art museum in the heart of Arkansas, thanks to the Waltons. Ty, would you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, sure. So, my background is with the Anishinaabe and Oneida Nations, and it's putting together this project. And I don't know how many folks across the United States or Turtle Island have been to a powwow, but this is a celebration of culture, a celebration of bringing people together. And it's actually a social gathering that talks about and amplifies Indigenous voices and peoples through song and dance. And so, as an art form, as a form of reparations, want to turn it into a queer pop-up powwow where everything is accepted under the sun in a form of celebration to come together to dance. And that'll be, down there at Crystal Bridges in the fall of 2021. And then the second project I'm working on is one called Yishabagijig with a collective I'm a part of called All My Relations Collective. And it's this collective, the Yishabagijig, is looking at the stars in a new way by working with technology and digital media to tell stories about the stars that we see at nighttime using this app. So it's part installation and it's part storytelling and it's part story archiving. By just think about all the stories that you didn't know, like the Big Dipper, the Little Dipper. I thought of those stories as stars as like the Fisher or the Loon story. So I'd love to share that with everyone.
Oh my gosh. I'm thinking about, again, in this conversation today, we're talking about like healthy, thriving democracies, like what we have to do to keep all of this working to fix things, as we move past November and December. And
Hmm.
the projects that you just described in particular, because it has a place and time and sense for me, the one in Arkansas, that's like groundbreaking that you're going to take that story into this area of the country that doesn't have access, right? Forget
Hmm.
all the name blaming and culture shaming and all of that of why someone in Arkansas might not have, be exposed to that kind of story. There's a lot of
Right.
access issues, and I wonder just how do you keep pressing forward when we are experiencing insane funding shortages and it's incredibly difficult to put projects up like that? How do you keep pressing forward, and why is that so important to you?
Yeah, well, I definitely lean into the mission of the project. Like it will happen regardless, no
Yeah.
matter what, because of the passion that's involved in it. And I think what's important is finding co conspirators,
Mm.
allies who want to help the project happen. And I feel like that is one way projects like this begin to happen. It is employing, it's servicing over 300 Indigenous Native artists from land at which all of companies are on, people are on, as a form of reparation. So it's giving back to the people, to the pockets of the people, but more importantly, giving back to the art that's being created. So you can also show up and have a good time with your family while, hearing some really amazing outdoor performances and seeing a drag queen perform, which is, it's
Amazing.
always good. Some shopping can go on. So, it's meant to service all people as a form of inclusion. And going back to that great circle, it's a reason why it's a circle, right? It's not a triangle, a dodecahedron, or a trapezoid. It's a circle because there are no corners to hide in. This is a design, a natural system that existed with the indigenous people. And so I think there's a lot to be learned. And I'd love to find partners that are also interested in working on this project. And it's through this project that'll launch called Live in America, going across the country.
That's amazing. So I know you've worked as an artist across so many disciplines, music, obviously, theater,
Mhm.
interdisciplinary and visual and right, interactive art. And I'm just curious, I think, as a sort of last little bit here, when we've been talking about purpose paying all day, and I'm wondering how does purpose pay in terms of supporting the arts for organizations, for brands? Why is this so important in that great circle that you're talking about? And maybe how do you envision a world in which more brands consider the arts an incredibly important part of that purpose?
Yeah, it's important because it does create infinite possibilities. It allows the art
Mm.
makers and to creators to have improvisation, and that's the stuff that creates shows like Hamilton. It's the
Mhm.
things that create all of these like amazing apps that we get to use, right?
Yep.
So this idea about paying for also cultural equity, in terms of getting everyone on the same page with knowledge becomes really, really important. And actually, pay and resources a form of justice, right? There is something that I like to think about, as I was saying before, about nourishing the imagination. Just think about, those dollars, the funds, the sort of branding are like seeds that you're planting so that something can grow and be steward over the course of time. You might not see it in a year or a year and a half, but you probably will see it in
Yeah.
2 years or 3 years, right? Because art takes time.
Oh, it's so
It's like
true.
it's like a really home cooked meal that is so good that you remember. It sparks those kinds of things of memory, of what I refer to as blood memory,
Mm.
right? Rather than food deserts that kind of come and go. And so I think these kinds of things of sustainability become so important when it comes to art, because there's a lifelong possibilities for it.
Oh my gosh, Ty, thank you so much for joining this. If people want to find you on the internets, where can they find you?
Yeah, you can go to just tydefoe.com, so tydefoe.com, or allmyrelations.earth.
Incredible. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts, passion, and wisdom around this. And I'll look forward to seeing you in person soon, hopefully.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Bye,
Thanks,
Ty.
Beth.